With over 20 movies, 10 television shows, 20 hit stage plays, Tyler Perry is indeed a media mogul. Did you know that as a young child, Tyler Perry was suicidal? From living in hell to building a media empire, this is Revealed, the story of Tyler Perry. Born Emmitt Perry Jr. on September 13, 1969, in New Orleans, Louisiana, Tyler didn't have a normal childhood. He suffered years of abuse by the hands of his father, and he was sexually abused by family members.
You were in that house and experiencing those things, and used to go to another place. You went to the other place to try to protect yourself, to save yourself?
Some of it was so horrific that I found a way to lead myself. I could go to this park that my mother and my aunt had taken me to, and all the boys were there playing. So I'm there in this park running and playing, and it was such a good day. So every time somebody was doing something to me that was horrible, that was awful, I could go to this park in my mind until it was over. So, when he was yelling and screaming at me, or he's...
And calling you all kinds of names.
Calling me all kinds of names. You have book sense, but you have no common sense, and N-word would never be anything unless he knows how to use his hands and work. And I wasn't a child that... I was sickly all the time. So I was in the hospital, had asthma, and he hated that about me because all he knew was to use your hands to work. He hated the fact that I would read or draw, or just was a different kind of kid that he wanted, or even understood.
So tell me about the time that he beat you with the vacuum board.
To this day, I don't remember what happened, why he did it. But I remember him cornering me in a room and hitting me with this vacuum cleaner cord, and he just would not stop. And there are all these welts on my, the flesh is coming from, my bone, and I had to wait for him to go to sleep. He would pass out drunk and fall asleep. And when he fell asleep, I ran to my aunt's house, who lived around the corner. And she was mortified when she saw it. Yeah.
And what happened when he came as a little boy around the corner?
He was holding his shirt out, and
this is Tyler's Aunt Jerry.
Yes. He didn't say anything. He was crying. And I lifted his shirt, and there was like 5 huge welts. And I got very upset when I saw that, because he was only maybe 8 or maybe 9 then, not any older than that.
During those hard childhood moments, Tyler relied heavily on his imagination.
Rape. Yeah.
As a little boy who was molested by 3 different men and a woman before you were 10 years old and didn't even know what sex was, did it leave you confused?
I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going on, or the far-reaching effects of it. But the way I was growing up, I just moved through it. Go on to the next thing. You're okay. Oh, boys don't cry. Shut up. Move on. And unfortunately, what happens with men, in my case, holding on to all of that, not knowing what to do with it. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's where my gift to write came from. It was in the heartache, in the hell, in the pain, in my mind, no matter what was happening to me, sexually, whatever was happening at the time, in my mind, I could go and be somewhere else. Now, looking at where I am now, that's where I go to write. People, Oprah calls me a savant, affectionately, because I'll sit and I'll write the 25 episodes of the shows in 2 weeks. She's like, how do you do that? How do you sit and do that? And it's because of that happening to me as a child, using my imagination. I could create these worlds and stay there for hours. It's like I'm
As the physical abuse continued with his father, Tyler started to act out. He was stealing, he burned down a house, and then he finally reached a breaking point and attempted to commit suicide.
So it got so bad that as a little boy, you slit your wrist.
Yeah, I was suicidal because I thought, what is the point in living, And my mom.
Tyler's gift of writing was birthed through his childhood struggles. In his mind, he would always use the power of his imagination to go somewhere else. At a young age, his mother instilled faith in him. His faith and belief in Jesus Christ is what allowed him to persevere through some of the hardest moments of his life.
And my mother was truly my saving grace because she would take me to church with her. And I would see my mother smiling in the choir, and she's happy. And she, I wanted to know this God that made her so happy. So if I had not had that faith in my life, I don't know where it would be right now.
Yeah, you told me once that your mother gave you Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't have anything else to give me, but she gave me Jesus.
But before success, Tyler Perry found himself homeless.
So I ended up homeless. I ended up out on the street with no money and nothing to my name.
One of Tyler Perry's first plays was I Know I've Been Changed. Tyler worked hard and saved $12,000 to get his play debuted, but less than 30 people showed up.
Well, it was 1991. I was just about your age then, and I had written my first play. It was called I Know I've Been Changed. It was about adult survivors of child abuse, and I wanted to do this show, and just my intention was just to make enough money to be able to take care of my mother. That's all I wanted to do. That was my goal. Make the money and retire her. Anyway, I just moved to Atlanta to try and launch this play, so I went to work. I would always work. You have to always work. You got to always go to work. I managed to save $12,000, and I put the show up, working, used car, bill collector, H&R Block tax return that wasn't quite right, but I got my money out of it. I thought 1,200 people would show up that weekend, but only 30 showed up. My car payment, rent, everything was tied up in it, so I ended up homeless. I ended up out on the street with no money and nothing to my name. But I knew that that is what I was supposed to be doing. I knew that I was on a good foundation. I had put in the work. This was supposed to work. It was supposed to be successful, but it wasn't. Over and over again, it failed, or so I thought. From 1992 to 93 to 94, every year I was doing one show a year. I would go get a job in between, and they would tell me I couldn't take time off. So I would quit. Now, I'm not telling you to go quit your job. I'm telling you what I did. This is my story.
Despite his disappointment, he continued on his journey and put his faith and trust in God.
My mother was a woman who endured a lot, but what she had was faith. She didn't have some great legacy. She didn't have millions of dollars, but she taught me about God and about Christ and took me to church. And what I found is what she knew is that if you don't give your children something, they will turn to something in the time of crisis.
As Tyler Perry continued on his journey, success finally came. Tyler Perry's plays began to make headway in the South, with Black women being his target audience. As the plays took off, this opened up a new door for Tyler. Tyler started writing, directing, and producing his own movies with his famous character Medea. Tyler slowly started to build a media empire and has encouraged many others to build their own platform. Out of his many accomplishments, Tyler is most proud of being a father. Tyler Perry proves that your past doesn't have to define you. With faith and perseverance, dreams do come true.